Right, well, I believe we're underway. So everyone, welcome to the third round of the International Gran Turismo League's Gr.2 Championship. We've got a race for you around Suzuka today. Looking like it's going to be an exciting one. And as we've got everyone just practicing right now, I'm going to get everything set up for the stream to be properly underway before we get into qualifying in the next few minutes, I believe. So I just need to find a bunch of thumbnails and stuff somewhere. I can scroll up fast enough. It's a different place. I have. There we go. There's the thumbnail I need. Perfect. So we'll just watch, Apex Predator going into the grass. Hopefully this isn't a sign of things to come. Hopefully this is just light practice, I guess, as I believe they're now going to be getting into a stuck check. I just need to share said information. As the stuck check seems to be going alright from the minimap. Seems like everyone's gotten away just fine. And now we watch the carnage of the first few laps. My favourite part of any stuck check. Bellin, for once, not going wide at turn one. Very proud of Bellin, but a few people in the background deciding to do what he normally does with Alegna, just taking him out into the gravel. Just typical stuck check things. As we will look, my wheel is not on, I have to use my PS4 controller. We'll look at Mr. Hippo as qualifying has begun. And we'll see what sort of lap times people are able to pull out of the bag. Just get up my timing screen, there we go. Dawson, where I want to be there. I hope I portrayed that where in a good way. It's a shame you can't be here, Dawson. I forget where you are. I think you're in... Oh, you're in a different part of England to the normal place that you normally are. Yes. Yes, that is what I meant to say. Oops. But anyway, we look now as the drivers on their outlap, getting ready to go for their qualifying laps. A bit of a shortened grid today. We've had a few injuries, in fact, with Wizard Egan actually having an injury preventing him from racing. Pretty sure Alegna also has an injury, but as we know, Alegna fights through the pain, and the man literally never gives up. Ah, you're just outside of Newcastle. Oh, sorry, Dawson. That's a massive shame. Not that you can't be here, that you are just outside of Newcastle. That must be horrible for you. But anyway, oh my god, that was savage. We'll look at Alegna, we'll watch him go for his flying lap, we'll go to bonnet camera. As you can see, just carrying as much speed through... Oh, no, he lost the rear a little bit there, but still... trying to carry good speed through the S's. Slightly grazing each of the apexes. As you really want to have a nice flowing run through there, trying to take that final part of the S's as flat as you possibly can. A slight tap of the grass, but able to keep it under control. This is a difficult corner to keep the car under control. Generally, the second Degner, the car can quite often snap, with the rear being very easy to unsettle around there. Around the hairpin, a place Alegna knows very well in the GR3 Renault from his spinning out days in that car. Now coming towards the hairpin, braking just at the little pathway on the right hand side. Trying to take as wide an exit as possible so you can carry as much speed as possible onto this back straight. Going towards 130R in these cars, completely flat out. Alegna taking that very well. Braking just between the 150 and the 100 boards. As you ride the curbs of the final chicane, keeping tight to the corner to get the best possible run, and I have no idea what lap time that is for Alegna, as no one else has actually said a lap yet. Perfect. Bellin goes 2 tenths quicker. We should have watched Bellin. But oh well. We'll look now at the Athenaeum coming around the corner. We'll see what sort of position he can put himself in. Up into 4th. Just 2 tenths off of Apex Sprint, and the Athenaeum not able to really fulfill his potential in the last round at Interlagos. He was having some brilliant fights, but wasn't quite able to maximise the positions that he was able to get, losing the rear a little bit through there, going onto the grass. A very difficult first corner Suzuka has. And I am expecting this to be the race with the most incidents. Unfortunately, the nature of Suzuka just means that it's a very difficult track, not only to overtake and follow on, but also just to generally keep it on track. With so many tight and twisty corners, a slight tap of the grass and your car is just completely gone into that grass or even further into the gravel. We'll look now at Nike Donner replacing ADX Dawson for the race. We'll see if he can replace the excitement that ADX Dawson brings all the time as well. Currently sitting less than a tenth off of 6th in Mr. Heppo, but 4.2 seconds down off ERT Bellin. I think Nike Donner just slowly warming up to the track, slowly getting faster as the laps go on. Good evening, Hooby. Very nice to see you. We have got qualifying underway right now. For those of you who aren't familiar with the qualifying around here, what happens is we have the 10-minute qualifying session where everyone is just trying to set their fastest possible lap, and then we have a super pole directly after, where the top 5 of qualifying will all battle it out for that pole position, doing 1 lap and 1 lap only. A lot of pressure can ride on that lap, but first you've got to get into that top 5 to get yourself into that position in which you can get pole position. Of course, Suzuka very well known for making mistakes, so any one of the top 5 drivers could get that pole position around here. Often we have people who you just consider to be a little bit faster than others. We've seen that in Bellin, Alegna and JPS Raiden quite a bit. JPS Raiden unfortunately not able to make it today. But around here, mistakes can happen so easily, as we see Gr.2 clipping the grass very slightly, but able to keep the car under control. But perfectly showing what I meant, in that this is a hell of a track to keep the car under control for the entirety of the race. I remember racing many of these guys around here in a different league before, and I can't remember a single person that kept it on track the entirety of that race. So this could get very interesting, and of course with Super Pole, everyone wanting to go as fast as physically possible to try and claim that pole position, mistakes will happen quite often. But we'll look ahead now at Vitvinci. Oh, making a slight mistake there, going for a bit of a spin. Fortunate for him. As my point has really been proven here, to be quite honest, in that this is a very difficult track to keep the car on track. Ah, hello Alex. Hello from Paris. Oh, very nice, Alex. I'm not sure why you're in Paris, but hope you're enjoying it. Do love a bit of no, I don't drink, so not wine. I'm not a massive fan of baguettes. Cheese is alright, I guess. Cheese! Absolutely love cheese. You got on the wrong train. Oh, Alex. That's happened to me before, but I didn't end up in Paris. Oh, God. Ah, Hunty! Nice to see you, sup, Thundercloud. Oh, sorry, Storm. Right, you're dead to me. Cheese is Dutch, according to Hooby. Is it? But I always associate cheese with being a very French thing, as in fact Mr. Heppo, surprisingly, has moved up into 3rd place. I think it's 4th because Vitvinci has just gone into the pits. But Mr. Heppo moving up into that top 5 so far. Could he be in with a shout of that pole position? We hope so. We love to see Mr. Heppo doing well in these races. One of the nicest guys in racing. Very much the opposite of Kimi Räikkönen, in that he talks quite a lot, in fact, and is just generally a very happy person. Me and the girlfriend here for the weekend. Alex, that sounds absolutely lovely. I would love to come with you and your girlfriend sometime. That came out wrong. Hooby, they have better cheese here. Ooh. Right, I've got to visit the Netherlands, quite clearly. I will be doing that. How's it going, mate? It's going good, Hunty. I have just got back from the train station after being at work all day. Had a 9-hour shift at my workplace, and as soon as I got back, I realised that, well, I thought qualifying was at 7:30, so I got back at 7:25, and my mum was just like, look, thunderstorm. She didn't call me thunderstorm, but you know what I mean. Do you want your roast dinner right now? Or do you want to wait? Do you want to have it later? After you've commentated? And I was like, Mum, 5 minutes. I could eat an entire roast dinner in that. So I didn't. I ate it in 7, but I'm still pretty proud of that. And thankfully qualifying starts at 7:40 anyway. But anyway, currently, looking at the top 5, we have ERT Bellin, ERT Elegna, PD Apex Predator, Mr. Heppo, and I believe Vitvinci, who is just in the pits right now. So 3 that currently are closest is the Athenaeum, Fabuki and Gr.2, all hoping to challenge for that top 5 position and get into the Super Pole. I believe this may be the last lap, in fact. Or at least very close to the last lap. We will quickly pull that up. Race info. As this is in fact the final lap. I think Gr.2 will be the last one to set his lap time. As we will bring that up. So we'll have to see. Gr.2 is going quicker at this moment in time. Getting a bit of a slide on out of that final corner, but will he be able to challenge for a top 5? are just ahead of Fubuki. So looking at the grid right now, we have Belin, Alegna, Apex Predator, Vitmin and Mr. Heppo in the top 5 positions, and that is what will stay as the top 5 positions, as qualifying, as you can see with the cars going a little bit slower, has ended and everyone's going towards the end of Sector 2. But so far, as Vitmin, yep, confirming that he is in third. Belin on top, 3 tenths ahead of Alegna. Alegna supposedly has not practiced as much as Belin for this race, but that's his own fault. So we look now to the top 5 qualifying, the Super Pole, just after this next duck check. So we'll read the comments for a bit. French like pastry. I do love pastry. Ooh, pastry is very nice. I know the long hours, mate. It's complete Charlie Roscoe All Pros. I agree, it is complete Charlie Roscoe All Pros. Subtle advertisement there. If anyone from the Charlie Roscoe channel is here, you're welcome for that. But we look at the stuck check now. Looking at the top 5, we have Belin, Alegna, Vitmin, Apex Predator and Mr. Heppo, who will be fighting it out for the Super Pole. And then after that, well, after this stuck check, I believe. And then after that, we will move into the sprint race. For those of you who aren't aware of how the sprint race works, everyone is on the hard compound tyres and will have to complete a 11-lap race in which they will have a joker lap at some point in this race. How the joker lap works is they have to come into the pits between the third and the third to last lap, which in this case is from lap 3 to lap 9, with this being quite a long track. So, yeah, as Alegna, whoa! Ho ho! Oh, what a crash! Well done. I think that's definitely the... Oh, Belin going for the drift. Massive drift. No, that's just a spin now. Well, I'd have to give Alegna the most style points in that suck check. But yeah, we move now into the Super Pole. We'll look at Alegna, the first man out of the pits, as I believe Vitmin, the next one out of the pits. But we will have to keep doing the keyboard stuff to get the timing board up. Nope, it is Alegna, Vitmin, Apex Predator out of the pits next, then Mr. Heppo, and then ERT Belin. So, Alegna in the Nissan, Vitmin in the Lexus, Apex Predator in another Lexus, Mr. Heppo in the Honda, and then Belin also in the Honda. Proving once again just how even of a field this really is. But we'll look at Alegna as he goes for his outlap, and he will be the first to finish his flying lap, so we'll have to see what he's able to do. 3 temps down on Belin in the initial qualifying session. But with this being Super Pole and the pressure being so high, anything can happen. As Alegna now coming down the back straight, getting ready to set up his lap. As he goes through the final chicane, Alegna's lap is about to begin. We'll watch him as he goes through this lap, moving back to bonnet camera so we can see just what he's doing. Coming all the way down the start-finish straight. Braking as you turn into the corner, basically, as you try to carry as much speed through that corner as possible, while trying to keep tight to those corners and then trying to keep tight again to the apexes of the S's. so you can get a nice flowing run through the final bit of the S's. Just lifting ever so slightly as you accelerate away towards the Degners, braking hard just before the 50 and braking hard again just before the gravel. A little bit of a slide on out of the second Degner, but able to keep the car under control. Braking just at the end of the outside curbing, trying to keep as tight to that apex as possible yet again. As we go on the run down towards, is it Spoon, the hairpin? You know what it is. Braking at that pathway yet again, trying to carry as much speed as possible, as you have to do at basically every corner. Onto that back straight now. Alegna doing a very nice lap so far. We'll have to see how well he nails 130R in the final chicane. Of course, 130R completely flat out in these GR2 cars. And braking just between the 150 and the 100 board. Riding those curbs. And Alegna's going to come through for provisional pole, and we'll have to see where Vitmiji can stack up against him. Vitmiji coming across the line now, a second behind Alegna. We'll have to see what Apex Predator could do. He looked to be a bit wide there. And 7 tenths behind Vitmiji. Now looking back at Mr. Heppo. Everyone very close here. Mr. Heppo, 2 tenths behind Apex Predator. Can Bellin do anything about Alegna? Not quite. Seems Alegna has run away with this qualifying session as Bellin in third position. Seemingly very disappointed with that. But it's Alegna who takes pole position for round 3 around Suzuka. Well done to Alegna. We'll have to see if he's able to convert that into a win. Obviously, Bellin last round getting pole position at Interlagos, and then not able to convert that into a victory. We'll have to see if Alegna can do what Bellin couldn't this round. But that was a mighty lap from Alegna, able to keep that car under control the whole way around. Very well done. As we look now to get the grid just set up, waiting for the race to begin. Alegna seemingly just going for a bit of a victory lap at a very slow pace, probably waving to his adoring fans around Suzuka. Wait for everyone to join the room and get this underway. As we wait for the race to get underway, we'll look at the comments for a second. Hunty, did anyone watch the Bathurst 12-hour? I did watch parts of it. I did think it was an excellent Bathurst 12-hour, to be fair. There was heartbreak at times, but there was some excellent overtaking moves. There was a brilliant one at Forest's Elbow, where there didn't even look to be any room to go for any sort of move, but somehow that Porsche, I think it was the Porsche, was it the Aston? Somehow someone made a move, and it was just amazing. I don't think we'll ever see a move quite like that again, but it was genuine. It was a flawless race, in my opinion, at least to watch. I enjoyed it very much. As it seems, we are getting close to the race being underway. I believe the grid has been set up. And we wait for the start of the race. Obviously, we will have the countdown of 10 seconds coming very soon. Good morning, old man and Daniel. Very nice to see you. I made a crap reference earlier, and that wasn't swearing because it was a what's the word for something that means something else, like not a synonym, abbreviation. That one, you know what I'm talking about. CRAP, you know what I'm talking about. But I believe we are about to get underway for this race. As we need to make sure the grid is set up correctly. Oh, yep, they're just doing... Yeah, I get it now. Everything is fine. It's all working. Yes, I heard. Old man and I here to rep the team, of course. We love you here, Staniel. We love you here indeed. I believe we are now about to get underway. It seems there was a slight confusion with what the grid order is. But it's all been sorted now. And the race is beginning. As Fuki rightfully claiming last place. As if it is his birthright. But anyway, we are about to get underway for the sprint race. This time, not with boost on, like last time. But looking at the grid, in first place, we have Alegna. Second, Vitmiji. And third, Belin. Apex Predator and Mr. Heppo follow with Yathaniam, Nike Donna, and Fubuki just after that. With the rolling starts here, I do believe a couple people will be in the middle of the chicane, which could spread out the grid a little bit before we even get underway, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But anyway, the cars are rolling away. As we wait to get underway. And we're underway. Alegna leading the way onto the start-finish straight towards turn one. It doesn't seem like anyone will be anywhere near close enough to go for any sort of move right now. So we'll have to wait for an exciting future and see what happens. See if there's any mistakes happening at any point. As I do believe we will have an exciting sprint race for you right now. Good evening, Stevie. Very nice to see you here. We have got the sprint race underway. Currently, Alegna leading the way in first position. Vitmiji right behind, and Belin in third. That's the three of them seemingly just taking off a little bit from Apex Predator behind. Nope, Apex Predator is right there. I need to shut my mouth. But Alegna already with a good second gap as we look back to ERT Bellin right on the rear of Vitminji. We know Bellin had good pace in the initial qualifying session, but not able to string together a lap in the Super Bowl. We'll have to see if he can challenge Vitminji early on and maybe challenge Alegna after that. Of course, the Joker lap could play a factor in this race. It cannot be taken until the third lap, so if Bellin wants to make some ground on Alegna right now, he has to do it through overtaking Vitminji. Right on the rear of Vitminji is ERT Bellin. A mere 2 tenths back. Could he be looking for a move going into the chicane? He's not quite close enough to go for anything into 130R. Almost running wide there at 130R, but now looking down the inside of Vitminji, not quite able to go for anything just yet. Could he be lining him up for a move going into turn 1? This race has just got a little bit exciting and it's only lap 1. ERT Bellin getting a much better run through that final chicane. Right on the rear of Vitminji, right in his slipstream. Now looking down his inside, but not going for anything just yet, not quite close enough. Obviously the Honda not with much straight line grunt, much better through the corners though, which around here can be very helpful, but only if you don't have a car in front of you who's holding you up, which it seems like Vitminji currently doing, with Alegna breaking away by 2 seconds within only a lap. As Bellin right on the rear of Vitminji. We'll have to see what happens here. Let's see if he's able to pull off any sort of worldy overtake in any of the upcoming corners. Getting a little bit of a wriggle on out of the second Degner. Could he be looking for a move going into the hairpin? Not quite able to look for anything just yet. Vitminji getting his braking right so far. And putting up a good defense. Bellin possibly looking around the outside, going towards Spoon. He's in the slipstream right now. Could he be tucking out of it? He is tucking out of it. Is he looking down the inside? Could he be going for a Sebastian Vettel? Not quite. Thankfully, not able to go for that. But now looking down the inside of the second section of Spoon. Both of them getting roughly equal runs out of the corner. Bellin seemingly getting a slightly better one though. But could the Lexus power come into play? It seems as though Vitminji has backed out of it. Bellin saying thank you by flashing those hazard lights. As Bellin moving up into second place, as Vitminji's gone off! Vitminji just braking too late for the corner, getting a tyre on that grass and going straight off. Where will he rejoin? It seems as though he might be rejoining in 7th, just ahead of Fubuki. We'll have to look again at what happened there. We'll go to the replay. As we see just pulling behind ERT Bellin. I believe he gets a wheel on the grass. Nope, he brakes too late and just goes straight into the gravel, trying to avoid ERT Bellin. Very respectful there from Vitminji, as he knew he'd outbroken himself, but very unfortunate for him, and has now moved down into 7th place. We'll look ahead at ERT Bellin for a second. Unfortunately now, with that happening, 3.3 seconds behind ERT Alegna and actually getting a 2-second penalty, which he has to serve immediately. Could Apex Predator look around the outside, which turns to the inside? Apex Predator making a lovely move there on Bellin, who had that penalty. But could Bellin be looking for the switchback? He is. Could he be looking to go around the outside now? This is the exact same positioning he had in his fight with Vitminji earlier on, but Bellin much more alongside now and able to hold that second place. Apex Predator right on his rear though, but not quite able to go for anything just yet. Getting a slightly better run through Spoon. Could Apex Predator look for a move? Going into 130R, not quite able to go for anything just yet, but could he look for something going into the chicane? He's run wide at 130R, so not able to go for anything just yet. And he'll have to wait for a later opportunity if he wants to go for any sort of move on ERT Bellin. But a good little scrap there for second place. ERT Bellin picking up that 2-second penalty, which allowed Apex Predator to look down the inside going into that hairpin. But that switchback from Bellin was pulled off brilliantly. He was able to reclaim second place from Apex Predator. We'll look back now at Mr. Heppo. The man who was able to qualify in a top 5 position, but seemingly has lost out to the Athenaeum, unfortunately. But we know he's got some good pace, and that Honda can be very quick around Suzuka if you know how to handle it just right. So we'll have to see if he's able to challenge the Athenaeum in the upcoming laps. The gap around 1.5 seconds right now. And we'll have to see if Mr. Heppo able to pull anything out of the bag and catch up to the Athenaeum. We'll have to see when these guys are coming in for their Joker lap, which did open last lap. The pits have been opened and the Joker lap is now available. We'll have to see who comes in first and what that Joker lap plays in this race, see if it plays any sort of a role. Any strategic differences coming out. As everyone's seemingly in their own sort of pocket of air right now. As I have said before, this track very difficult to follow someone in. Obviously, dirty air can play a massive factor around here, as you want to be able to carry as much speed through the corners, but in that dirty air it's very difficult to do so. So similar to Formula 1, everyone just sort of finds their own pocket of air and sticks to it. But currently, looking at the grid, we'll look at first position. We have ERT Alegna leading the way, 5 seconds ahead of Bellin, who had his penalty earlier on. But Bellin in second place. Third place, Apex Predator. Fourth place, the Athenaeum. Fifth place, Mr. Heppo. In sixth place, we have Nike Donna. In seventh, we have Vitmiji, and eighth place, Fubuki. But looking at Vitmiji, he does seem to be closing up to Nike Donna ever so slightly. Obviously, having the pace to qualify in second place. So there was no doubt in anyone's mind that he would slowly be making it back up the field after his incident earlier on. And we'll have to see if he's able to go for anything on Nike Donna in this next lap or so. Minji rides on the back of Nike Donna now. Only 5 tenths away, but deciding to come in for his Joker lap early. Clearly deciding that he doesn't want to be held up in traffic at all. Thinking it would be quite difficult to overtake Nike Donna, so coming into the Joker lap very early. Hoping to get the undercut on the others and run in some clear traffic. Going straight back out, obviously. Right after coming into the pits. Unfortunately, that was JPS Raiden's downfall in the last sprint race. The man sadly changing tyres when you don't need to in a sprint race. It was very unfortunate for JPS Raiden. But now Vitmiji in 7th place just has clear air to run his own race for a bit and try to set as many fast laps as possible. And see if he can get the undercut on the people ahead. As we look ahead, actually, Mr. Heppo, has he fallen down the grid a little bit? We'll check the replay quickly. Or has he come in for his Joker lap? I have missed that entirely. I think something happened with Mr. Heppo, but I'm not 100% sure. 9 seconds ahead of Vitmiji. Or did he come in for his Joker lap? Does anyone have any idea what Mr. Heppo did? I'm a terrible commentator, but we'll look ahead at ERT Alegna. We'll see if he makes any sort of strategic call, as he does in fact come in for a joke lap. I am a psychic, I can predict the future. As Bellin seemingly following him in. We'll see if anyone else follows on. It doesn't seem as though Apex Predator coming in for his joke lap just yet. As well as the Athenaeum just carrying on right now. So we already have half the grid having done their Joker lap. And in the next two, as Alegna running wide, going into turn one, that could allow Bellin a bit of a sniff at a victory here, as he's gained a good 2 seconds because of that instant. Alegna just running ever so slightly wide and losing so much time. Because if you clip that tyre just outside of the apex there, you just go straight off into the outside tarmac and it's difficult to recover from. As Bellin now only 2 seconds behind Alegna. The fight for first could get interesting here, and with Alegna catching up to traffic in the Athenaeum, Bellin will definitely be sniffing around for a victory now. And the pressure is on for the both of them, but we'll quickly look at the replay and just see what happens there. So as you can see, just coming into turn one, braking slightly too late, getting his tyre on the green stuff on the outside of that curbing. Losing the position to the Athenaeum in the process, which now he's got to reclaim later on. And this has definitely made the sprint race a little bit more exciting. As now Apex Predator in first place, coming in for his joke lap, as well as the Athenaeum. They had to do it reasonably soon, as I believe lap 9, the final lap in which anyone is able to do their joke lap. As we've had confirmation, Mr. Heppo had not done his joker lap. Unfortunately, he had just gone off. Very unfortunate there for Mr. Heppo after his top 5 qualifying position. Hopefully he can try to regain his form for the main race and get a good solid result in that. But now Alegna, 2.2 seconds ahead of Bellin. Very difficult to catch up to Alegna in any circumstance. A very clean, consistent driver. Well known for his pace. But if anyone can catch him, it's got to be Bellin in the Honda. We know he's been practicing a massive amount in that car. And we'll have to see if he's able to catch up to Alegna in the coming laps. Only 3 laps remaining after this one is finished, as the field seems to be a little bit more spread out right now. As I believe the only man left to go in for his joker lap is Gr.2, currently sitting in 3rd place. Where will he emerge after his joker lap? We'll have to see. Alegna seemingly maintaining that gap right now, as in fact Gr.2 has made a mistake somewhere and has hit the wall going into the pits. Very unfortunate there for Gr.2. We have the replay, thankfully, and we'll be able to see what just happens there, as he just lost it going through 130R, going very wide and slamming into the wall there. And after that, very unfortunately, slamming into the wall at the pits. And that has moved him down into 8th position. Very unfortunate there for Gr.2. He was running a decent race, to be fair to him. But that has put a nail in his coffin. Has moved him down right into last position. Very unfortunate mistake there. Easy to do at 130R. As he'll look to recover in the feature race after this now. But looking ahead, the two men still closest on track, ERT Bellin and ERT Alegna. Only 2.1 seconds between them, but it doesn't look as though Bellin able to make up any time at this current moment. He has recovered one position overall after Vitman G out-qualified him. Unfortunate for ERT Bellin that he wasn't able to challenge Alegna for pole position in the Super Pole. But the two of them very equal on pace. And Bellin will be looking for a bit of payback in the feature race. Bellin still unable to win a race in the Gr.2 series, but has come very close so many times. Very similar to myself in another league, I couldn't stop getting second place. Hopefully Bellin doesn't follow in my footsteps, and hopefully he can break this curse and get himself a win. Maybe not in this race, but maybe in the next one. It's Nike very frustrated, quite clearly. Not very sports-like of him. But we look at Bellin nonetheless. Currently sitting 2.3 seconds behind ERT Alegna. Not quite able to do anything just yet. As it seems this will be the positions that everyone's holding going on to the final lap. But the thing with Suzuka is anything can happen at any time. This is a track well known for people making mistakes. I myself hate Suzuka with a burning passion. But moving on to the final lap now. Looking at the positions, we have Alegna leading by 2.5 seconds. If he can just hold his final lap together, he should be able to claim victory in the sprint race after his pole position. Very well driven from Alegna so far. Bellin 2.6 seconds behind him. Apex Predator in third position on that final step of the podium right now. The Athenium in fourth, Vitman G in fifth, Mr. Heppo in sixth, Fabuki in seventh, and Nike Donna, unfortunately, with a retirement. But looking at that final lap of the race, we have Alegna leading. And we'll follow him on board for a bit. Well, on the bonnet camera at least. And we'll see what he's able to do on this final lap. See just how he's been leading this race. Obviously, he had that mistake going into turn one a little bit earlier on. But other than that, his racing seems to have been pretty flawless. He's been holding good pace the whole way through. Has kept that gap to Bellin relatively consistent, even extending it by about 2 tenths over the course of the last few laps, going a little bit wide of the apex, but making a good exit out of that hairpin. As it looks like he's going to be claiming the victory for the sprint race. If he can just get Spoon and 130R right, and the final chicane, it looks like we'll be looking at the victory, or the victor, sorry, for round 3, race 1. As Alegna coming through that final chicane, round the final corner, 1.6 seconds between him and Bellin, but Alegna claiming that victory. Well done to him, and Alegna only 1.6 seconds ahead of Bellin in second place. Apex Predator looking to come through for that final podium position in third. The Athenium coming around that final corner now for fourth place, with Vitman G, unfortunately, after his mistake earlier on, coming home in fifth. Could have been better for him, but he was able to make a good recovery ahead of Mr. Heppo, who comes home in sixth position. And Fubuki coming through the final corner to take 7th place in the race. Very well done to everyone, but mainly well done to Olegna, claiming that first victory in his Nissan. The sprint race is yours. Well done to all the racers. A good race there. And very well done to Olegna, claiming that victory and moving ever so closer to the first position of the league so far. I think Bellin now moving into first position of the league. I will have to check the points to discover whether I am correct or not. Bellin, yep, Bellin will move up into first position. Olegna now in second. And Raiden moving down to third as he's not able to attend this race. But now looking at the second race, we have the Sprint Series. Or the, no, we just had the Sprint Series. We now have the feature race. Of course, the feature race. I know what I'm doing. Commentary is my thing. I know exactly what I'm doing. As that is a very loud engine, we'll just exit for a bit and wait for someone to go out of the pits. But yeah, it's not the race that some people would have wanted. Right there. But definitely a race that Olegna is going to be very proud of. Unfortunately, turn 1 mucking up his momentum a little bit. He had a bit of a nervous moment coming through the sector directly after that turn 1. As Bellin closed up to around 2 seconds behind, but after that he was able to hold around the same gap. And Bellin not able to challenge as the laps carried on. We'll look at Mistepo for a bit. Didn't have the race he wanted in that first race. Turn 1 apparently claimed him. But hopefully he can make up for that a little bit in the feature race. We know, of course, Mistepo doing brilliantly for the majority of the feature races. He's led quite a few laps at Brands Hatch, I believe, in the feature race. He unfortunately had a mid-race incident where he just clipped off track a little bit, but we know Mistepo, definitely one who has a lot of potential and is very fast at times. So we hope to see the best for him going into race number 2 of round 3. We'll look at the Athenium for a bit. Another man in the Honda in his bright red livery. Absolutely lovely. Cutting the corners as you do in practice, because, you know, when you're practicing, you want to find the fastest possible route, and if that's across the grass, so be it. But we know the Athenium got a good amount of pace to him. He was challenging Apex Predator and Vitmiji and ERT Stevie in the last round around Interlagos. Those four seemingly having a very good fight all the way around there. As good evening, Bellin. Very nice to see you in the chats. And very nice to see everyone else. Dr. Rob, Wizard Egan, Stevie, Rentec. Just giving a shout out to all the people that I have missed throughout the race. I'm very sorry about that. But either way, the grid is being set up. I believe it is a reverse grid. Yes, it is. I know what I'm talking about. as I'm not 100% sure where Gr.2 will be starting this race. Of course, he did have a DNF, or disconnect, or whatever you want to call it, in the sprint race. And we'll have to see if that means he'll be starting at the back or at the front, because of course it it wasn't an internet issue, so it may be him starting at the back of this next race. We'll just have to see what happens there. But any predictions for the next race? Of course, we have Alegna fast charging up the field again, as always. But we have Bellin hungry for his first victory. And again, we have Vitminji sliding, having a nice drift through that first corner. He was able to claim a lovely podium position at Interlagos. Could he play a factor in this race? As Apex Predator really hungry. I feel you there, man, but then again, I am always hungry. I'm a university student, and we starve for a living. But very much looking forward to watching this next race. Hopefully we can have just as much action as we had in the sprint race in the next feature race. As of course, with reverse grids, you generally get a bit more action, as the field is a bit more tightly compacted, as you have the fast guys trying to fight their way through the field. As we have confirmation of 2 minutes till the start. So everyone can basically go to the toilet. Because that is all these 2 minutes waiting things are for, to be honest. Just people who really need the toilet. Which quite often, come to think of it, is me. I always seem to forget to go to the toilet before very long races. As I do have to mention, next week we will not be streaming the race on this channel, as I will in fact be busy doing a separate race. I will be taking part in the Best of British qualifiers, which will be live streamed on the ERT Esports channel. It will be racing against people such as... I need to pull up the document, as I genuinely have no idea who's in it, and I've completely forgotten everyone. Right, here's the list. Gr.25, ERT Thunderstorm, myself, Fosi, Trevisio, Hyrocram, GTA Matty, here he is, GTP Twizzy, Care 187, Tuscany, Callum Jones, Super GT, Elite Force 212, and Lost Shelty. As it looks like we're going to be getting ready for this next race. The feature race has begun. We have the 10-second countdown. As we look at what the grid lines up as. Of course, the 2 people starting towards the back will be around the chicane area and won't be able to carry as much speed onto the start-finish straight as everyone else starts just after it. So, looking at the grid, we have Fabuki in first, Mr. Efo second, Vitminji in third, and Gr.2 starting from the back ahead or behind ERT Bellin and Alegna. We'll have to see what happens in this race. As they start rolling away, we wait for the go. We have 3, we have 2, we have 1, and we're underway with this race. Fabuki leading the way, trying to break that slipstream very early on. With Mr. Eppo following behind. 4 tenths behind currently. As Fabuki leading going into turn 1. We'll have to see what happens going into this first lap, as the field inevitably bunches up, with the fast guys all obviously being at the back. Hopefully we can keep it completely clean going through this race. Very difficult to do sometime in these reverse grid races. That's the faster guys towards the back, just trying to make their way through the field ASAP. But of course, everyone here knows how to race very well. And we'll have to see what happens. Currently Fabuki just leading that way with a comfy 1 second gap. We'll look back at Apex Predator, right in the mix of things. It seems, in fact, the Athenian possibly looking for a move on Vitminji, not quite able to go for anything. In fact, looking down the inside of Vitminji. Vitminji forced to a wider line. The Athenian trying to get a better run out of that hairpin. Not quite able to do so, however, as he has to tuck back into Vitminji's slipstream. Could he be looking for a move going into Spoon? If we look back, though, ERT Bellin is side by side with Apex Predator, trying to go all the way around the outside, and he's in fact made it around the outside of Apex Predator. And as the fourth, as Mr. Heppo running wide at Spoon, and that has cost him every position that he had earned, moving him down into 8th position. Very unfortunate there for Mr. Heppo. But if we look back ahead, we actually see the Athenian looking for a move on Vitminji. Right down his inside, not quite able to go for anything just yet. And with that, ERT Belling could be lining up a move on the Athenian going towards turn 1. He's around 4 tenths behind. And this could get tasty. ERT Belling seemingly scything his way through the field a little bit better than Alegna so far. Both of them known for making their way through the field very quickly. But Belling able to do so a little bit better right now. As they go through this section, we'll quickly look at what happened with Mr. Heppo. Looking at bonnet camera, currently in 2nd position, braking a little bit late and just running ever so slightly wide onto the green stuff and spinning around. Very unfortunate there for Mr. Heppo, losing all those positions there. But we look at the Athenian, as in fact Alegna moving up into 5th position. Did something happen with Apex Predator? We will quickly check the replay yet again. Apex Predator currently in 5th. Did he have a mistake through the S's? He's lost the rear and has almost gone spinning. In fact, Alegna saves him in the final section of the S's by giving him a little bit of a tap. And the Apex Predator thankfully not going all the way around, but losing a position to ERT Alegna. As the Athenian now next on the list for Belin and Alegna. Right on, or right in front of them, sorry. As Belin getting a much better run through Spoon. Could he be looking for a move going into 130R, or will he wait for that chicane? He's looking around the outside of the Athenian. And it seems as though he's made it work already. The Athenian running a little bit wide there, and Alegna now looking down the inside of the Athenian, seemingly making that move work already. And Alegna moving up to 4th, the Athenian losing 2 positions in just as many corners. Very unfortunate there for the Athenian. But when it's Belin and Alegna, you know they're going to be trying to make their way up through the field as fast as physically possible. We'll look at Alegna for a second, right on that rear of Belin. Of course, these two known to be having quite a few scraps in the championship, but haven't actually been too close to one another too often. Always having a little bit of a gap between them, as we could see them having a little bit of a tussle here on track. And this could get very interesting for the championship. The two very close right now in the standings, as well as very close on track. Alegna a mere 3 tenths behind Belin, following him through the Degnas. As in fact, Fabuki's run a little bit wide there, and has lost both positions to Vitminji, Belin and Alegna. Fabuki just unfortunately running a little bit wide at Degna number 2, but now looking at Belin right on the rear of Vitminji. This is non-stop action. Belin looking around the outside of Vitminji, not quite able to go for anything just yet, just tucking back in behind. Vitminji running a little bit wide at Spoon, and Belin looking down the inside, not quite able to go for anything just yet. But he seemingly is getting a better run through Spoon. Belin side by side with Vitminji, going up into turn 1, blocking off Alegna from going and making it 3 wide. And Belin up the inside has made it stick. Belin is up. into first position, and now Alegna looking down the inside of Vitmaji. There's contact! Vitmaji has almost lost the rear there. He has, in fact, lost 2 positions there to both Alegna and Fubuki. Just a slight tap off that grass. And unfortunately losing that position to Fubuki. We'll have to see if he's able to make anything work coming up as Fubuki just tucking in behind Vitmaji as Vitmaji's made the move work. Nagdana unfortunately leaving the race again. Don't have much sympathy for that. If you sign up for a league race, you have to stick to it. But anyway, looking at the racing, we do in fact have Yapanaim looking down the inside there of Fubuki, as Nagdana can gladly just leave the race at this point. If he wants to keep talking in the chat, then please do it in another lobby. But anyway, the Athenaeum making a brilliant move there on Fubuki. We'll check the replay again, in fact, and watch that again, because that was amazing. So if we look here at bonnet camera, Fubuki running a little bit wide at the last section and not carrying too much speed, getting a little bit on the curbing as the Athenaeum just looking down the inside there, going through the final bit of the S's. A brilliant little move there from the Athenaeum to claim 4th position. Getting a little bit out of shape on the exit of Spoon, but carrying good speed nonetheless. But looking ahead now, we have Alegna and Bellin, the two locked in a battle for first position. Alegna getting a little bit shaken up there. But holding on nonetheless, as he in fact comes into the pits here for his first pit stop on lap number 4. As in fact Apex Predator following him in on a different set of tyres. Apex Predator on the hards and Alegna on the medium compound. Of course, in this feature race, everyone has to use both compounds of tyres at some point in the race. So Alegna seemingly going for the undercut on Bellin. We'll have to see if that plays a factor later on. As we'll look just ahead to the Athenaeum again. 2.3 behind Vitmaji, 1.4 ahead of Fubuki. Seemingly, these guys the closest on track right now, but no one able to go for any sort of move, obviously. Everyone in their own sort of pocket of air right now, as they all look to just try and set fast lap after fast lap, catch up to the guy that's in front of them, and see where this race takes them. We'll look ahead and see what Bellin's doing. Obviously Alegna coming into the pits last lap. Will Bellin follow? Trying to cover him off. He doesn't, in fact, and follows on for another lap. Could these two be on different strategies right now? It would be very interesting to see alternate strategies between the two. As if we look back for a minute, Apex Predator running very wide at the chicane. Very unfortunate, almost losing the rear yet again. We'll look at the replay quickly and just see what happened there. As you can see, going through 130R just fine. A little bit of grass, but nothing too bad. Braking a little bit late, it seems, and losing the car, but managing to keep it relatively within the green stuff, not having to go for any sort of tyre wall or anything. And rejoining the track safely with Mr. Hetbo just behind him. Looking ahead though, we have Alegna trying to set fast lap after fast lap right now. Obviously on that undercut to see if he can go for any sort of move on Bellin later on. But with Bellin currently on his 6th lap, could these two in fact be on different strategies? Alegna is catching up to traffic, which could play a factor later on in this race, as Bellin will be wanting to keep this man behind and claim his first victory. Alegna known for making a lot of undercuts in this Gr.2 season. As Fubuki going very slow through there, I believe he had a mistake through Spoon. As Alegna's closed right up, only 4 tenths behind, as Vitmiji coming into the pits in 2nd place on the hard compound tyres. Bellin carrying on. As now Alegna right behind Fubuki. He's actually caught him up in a very good place as he's able to get the slipstream and probably look down the inside and just go for a nice, neat and tidy move on a straight. Not being stuck behind him through any of the S's, anything like that. And Alegna moves up into 3rd position. A mere 13.5 seconds behind Bellin. This could get interesting later on. Fubuki getting a little bit wide in the background around the Degnas, but keeping his car on track. Good car control there to keep it on the road there from Fubuki in the background. But seemingly losing a little bit of pace. Obviously, difficult to keep up with Alegna on fresh tyres, but Fubuki on much older tyres right now. As Alegna and Bellin seemingly keeping roughly the same gap throughout this lap. Maybe Alegna's gained a couple tenths, but a very steady gap so far between the two of them as Alegna looks to close up to the Appenheim. Should be a little bit more difficult to overtake as Bellin now moving into the pits. Was on the hard compound tyres. Very interesting for strategy there. That means Alegna and Bellin were on completely different sets of tyres at the time. And we'll have to see where Bellin emerges. Coming straight back onto the track, right behind Alegna it seems like, as Alegna was on the faster tyre at the time. As now Bellin 2.8 seconds behind Alegna, but I'm guessing has moved on to the mediums and should be catching Alegna fairly rapidly through the next couple of laps. We'll watch him and see what happens here. As the Appenheim emerging in 7th place after his hard compound stint. As Alegna losing so much time to Bellin through the S's and through the Degnas. Bellin a mere 1.3 seconds behind Alegna right now and closing rapidly, 1.1 even. And the gap's still closing. Bellin clearly on the mediums right now, as he's gaining so much time through every single corner on Alegna. He's now at a 2.8 second gap to a 0.8 second gap, and the lap isn't even finished yet. Obviously Bellin on completely fresh tyres and Alegna on slightly worn hards, I'm guessing. But that is a massive pace difference between the two of them. As if we actually look back, Fubuki seemingly losing 2 positions there to Vitmiji and Apex Predator. We'll look at that later, but currently ERT Bellin, sorry, right on the rear of Alegna. He's going to be looking for a move at some point soon. You just know it. 6 tenths between the two. He closed 2.2 seconds in a single lap. A brilliant showing there from Bellin. And we'll have to see if he's able to pull any sort of overtaking move on this lap coming up. Bellin right on the rear of Alegna right now. 3 temps separating the two of them. Bellin definitely going to be looking for a move coming into any of these corners. Anywhere that Alegna makes any sort of mistake, Bellin will be right there ready to pounce. A mere 4 temps behind Alegna, and closing even more so. Alegna right now getting just enough acceleration to keep Bellin behind, but Bellin right on the rear of Alegna right now. 2 temps separating the two, even less now as Bellin right in the slipstream. Could he be looking around the outside, which turns to the inside? Not quite looking for anything just yet. Will he be looking for a move going into 130R or maybe the chicane just after, seemingly carrying a good amount of speed out of Spoon? A little bit better than Alegna, but riding the curb a little bit has lost him quite a bit of momentum, but 4 temps behind, and with that slipstream he could look to close up even more as the two of them so close to one another right now. 5 temps separating the two of them on completely different strategies. Bellin really riding that curbs, knowing he needs to make a move on Alegna in the upcoming laps. Right on the rear of him right now. 6 temps separating the two of them, as it doesn't look like Bellin going to be able to go for any sort of move just yet. But looking back for a second, Apex Predator seemingly has been overtaken by Vitminchi. We'll quickly look at the replay of that, as we don't see anything on the replay. Right, back to the fight between Bellin and Alegna, with Fubuki coming into the pits in 5th position. Bellin right on the rear of Alegna. A mere 2 temps separating the two of them. Bellin on the mediums, Alegna on the hards right now, as Alegna already having run the mediums earlier on in this race, and they're both getting their tyres out of the way so that they can do whatever they want later on in the race, obviously having to use both compounds of tyres at some point, and both of them have done so now. I am pretty sure as Bellin, he can't be on hards going this fast, can he? There's just no way. But Bellin closing up to Alegna through those corners. Could he be lining up something? Alegna still getting a good amount of speed carried through Spoon. Bellin doing a bit better through Spoon this time, closing up 3 temps right now. And in that slipstream, could be able to look for a move going into the chicane. Of course, the Nissan pretty dominant in a straight line. And Bellin not able to go for anything just yet. Maybe lining something up for later on. Still very close to one another. 4 temps between them, as Bellin getting a better run through the chicane. Oh, not quite. Alegna pulling away ever so slightly, trying to break that slipstream by tucking to the inside. Bellin going to have to wait a little bit longer to go for any sort of move on Alegna. The S is a very difficult place to overtake anyone. But this is a fight for the ages between the two men currently leading the championship. Miss Teppo coming into the pits in the background, but we can't look at that as these two, a mere 10th between them. Could Bellin look for something going into the Degners? Nope, not going for any sort of risk there. Alegna a little bit wide through that second Degner. Could Bellin look for a move going into the hairpin? Again, 2 temps separating the two of them. But Bellin currently just following Alegna through. Again, getting a better run out of the hairpin. Could he look for something going into Spoon? He's tried to look around the outside, but it's difficult to do that as it's a much longer line through there. Alegna holding first very well so far, but Bellin getting a slightly better run through Spoon. 2.5 temps between the two of them. This is such close racing. But again, that Nissan dominance in a straight line means that Alegna in first position is able to hold off Bellin. As it seems Bellin may be short-shifting a little bit. as he's definitely not supposed to be going that slowly in a straight line, so maybe just fuel saving ever so slightly. While in the slipstream of Alegna, we know that we know that Bellin fuel saved in his pit, didn't refuel during his pit, so clearly trying something different here. Could these two, in fact, be trying to make the hard tyres last a very long time during their final stint? We'll have to see what happens, as they're still following each other right through. Alegna and Bellin, the biggest gap I've seen between the two of them is about 4 tenths. As Bellin still just fuel saving ever so slightly, but looking to pressurise Alegna into some sort of mistake. He's still practically riding his arse through the corners. It's absolutely brilliant racing between the two of them. Bellin again getting a better exit out of the hairpin, but so difficult. Out of that hairpin, as Apex Predator unfortunately misfueling. Unfortunately, that's a glitch sometimes in Gran Turismo. We've seen it happen to Bellin in the past, in fact, refueling or not refueling when he wanted to. Very unfortunate for Apex Predator. And hopefully he can make it back to the pits. But Bellin, 3 tenths behind Alegna. Such a close fight between the two of them. They've got 10 seconds to Vitmin G right now, so don't need to worry about him. Will they be coming into the pits anytime soon? We see Alegna and Bellin both diving into the pits at the exact same time, with very similar fuel, actually. Alegna on the hards yet again. Oh wait, no, Alegna was on the hards. Alegna was on the mediums earlier, so now he's on the hards. Yep, this completely works. So now we'll have to see what tyres they emerge on. Both of them having to refuel in this pit stop. We'll have to see how much each one of them refuels and see who emerges in the lead. As in fact, Bellin ahead of Alegna and possibly ahead of the Athenaeum. The Athenaeum could be a little bit of a bump in the road for Alegna, as Bellin filling up to about 78%. Alegna filling up even more so than that. 78% could be enough to make it to the end of the race. Could Bellin be trying an 8-lap stint on the hard tyres? It looks as though he's doing that, but we'll have to fuel save, seemingly. Really drifting it around the first Alegna, but keeping it on track. He's trying to push right now to get away from the Athenaeum and Alegna. And unfortunately, Alegna, as we look behind, catching up to the Athenaeum in a bit of the wrong area. You want to catch him up going into one of the straights. This is a bit of a twisty section. The Athenaeum losing the rear ever so slightly. Will Alegna look for a move going into Spoon? Very close right now. The Athenaeum actually defending a little bit, but just holding his line right now. As Alegna not able to go for anything, and is in fact being held up ever so slightly by the Athenaeum, as Alegna really wants to be using these fresh tyres to catch up to Bellin. The Athenaeum sliding through Spoon. Now going side by side with ERT Alegna. There's nothing between the two of them. Literally nothing in terms of tenths, hundredths, but Alegna with that inside line, able to move up to 3rd position, and is now going to be looking to challenge Bellin later on. A 1.8 second gap between the two of them now. Oh, a 1.3 second gap, in fact, with Vitmin G coming into the pits. We'll have to see where Vitmin G emerges, as the Athenaeum, I believe, needs to pit later on in this race. And we'll have to see where he emerges. But currently, 1.3 seconds between Bellin and Alegna. Could this race get spicy again in the last few laps? These two have been fighting for so long, we haven't been able to take our eyes off them. But for a minute, we will, as Vitmin G and Apex Predator are a little bit closer to one another. And I feel like we need a little bit of a break from the action between Alegna and Bellin. We will cut to them if they get close again. But currently Vitmin G 8 tenths behind Apex Predator. He was able to out-qualify him in the Super Pole. So we know he's got a lot of pace right now. We'll have to see if he's able to catch up to Apex Predator at any point around the track. Right on the rear of Apex Predator is Vitminji, around 4 tenths between the two of them. But Apex Predator getting a better run through that hairpin. And Vitminji not able to go for anything just yet. Vitminji trying to get a better run through Spoon. Apex Predator ran a little bit wide there, so he lost a bit of time. However, that has allowed him to get a good exit out of Spoon. However, we need to kind of head for a second as Alegna right on the rear of Bellin. We said earlier that Bellin is going to need to fuel safe, and that could be his downfall. Covering that inside line is Bellin, as Alegna looking around the outside of Bellin. They're side by side going into turn one. Alegna going all the way around the outside. Moves up into first position. A brilliant move from Alegna. That was magnificent. There was nothing between them going into the corner. But Alegna with balls of steel moving up into first position, going all the way around the outside of him. Into turn one, absolutely amazing from Alegna, and there was nothing Bellin could really do about that, as he had to leave the room, and Alegna just carrying so much speed all the way around the outside. A brilliant move from Alegna, and we'll have to see if Bellin is able to go for any sort of fight back on Alegna. We obviously know Alegna refueled a little bit more than Bellin in the pits, so is able to push ever so slightly more, but Bellin should be able to hang on to that slipstream. But you know what? Let's look at the replay of that move. Currently side by side going into that corner, and Alegna just all the way around the outside of Bellin. We'll also look at Bellin's perspective of the move. As you can see, Alegna just all the way around the outside there. Absolutely amazing from the two of them. Such racing respect there. And now Bellin, around 7 tenths behind Alegna, is going to need to try to find a way to fight back. As in fact, looking back, we have the Appenheim running a little bit off track there. We'll check the replay for him quickly. As you can see, coming through 130R, braking a little bit late there, and that's just sent him into the green stuff. Thankfully able to keep the car for the majority on track, so not losing too much time. But looking ahead, we have Bellin 9 tenths behind Alegna. In fact, 7 tenths. It's difficult to get a read on how far behind or in front someone is when looking at the S's section, as we see Mr. Eppo and Fabuki coming into the pits right now. But Bellin gonna need to try to push on to get back into Alegna's slipstream range. He's right on the sort of border of it right now, where he's not quite in it, but he's ever so close. As in fact getting a good run out of the hairpin, not quite able to. But he is right on the limit of whether slipstream is available or not. As Bellin trying to get back into that slipstream to try and mount a fight back against Alegna. Obviously not able to get a victory yet is Bellin. But Alegna, this could be his 4th in the championship, as he looks to make a massive claim in the first season, saying, look at me now. I'm winning all the races at Interlagos. I'm winning all the races at Suzuka. You cannot stop me. But Bellin, he's going to have something to say about that. And as we look back, we see the Athenaeum coming into the pits. His pit crew coming out to take him, most likely to change tyres onto those medium compounds and to refuel so he can come to the end of this race. Just filling up his red Honda. And we'll have to see where he emerges in respect to Apex Predator. It looks as though he's going to be coming out ahead, but Apex Predator coming down the start-finish straight. Could he mount a challenge later on? The gap around 2 seconds between the two of them. And Apex Predator, known to be a very fast driver, he got that podium in the first race. Could he try to launch a fight back for 4th position? But if we look ahead, Belin really right on the cusp of that slipstream of Alegna. Very close between the two of them. Keeping very similar pace right now. Belin obviously a bit lighter on fuel, which may come back to haunt him later on in the race, but right now it just means he's able to set a little bit faster of lap times, as his car's a little bit lighter and he's able to do a little bit more. ERT Belin really looking to get that first race victory. He's been wanting it so bad in this Gr.2 championship. He's been fighting ever so hard the entire time. Coming close in pretty much every single race. He's always been there or thereabouts. Normally around 2 or 3 seconds off of the victory is Belin, and he's had enough of that at this point. He wants that victory, but with only 4 laps left, he's running out of time to mount a challenge to get that first position from Alegna. We're not sure just how much he has to fuel save either. Obviously, Belin filling up a little bit less, it has been mentioned before. And he may be pushing on as hard as he can right now, so that later on he may have to fuel save a little bit more. Obviously, if he pushes on now, he may be able to tuck into that slipstream and make a move on Alegna. And then fuel save after he's gotten up into first position. He has to try that to mount a challenge for that first place. Vitmin G, 12.5 seconds behind. He shouldn't be too worried about that. He could, in fact, come into the pits again and still emerge in second place. So he doesn't have to worry about any sort of challenge from third position right now. He can just focus on catching Alegna. As both of their tyres definitely getting a little bit more worn as they go through this race. Belin getting a much better run through the chicane, as there's around a second between the two of them. Suzuka, a track known for very high tyre wear. As you've got to turn the car through many twisty corners, very tight and difficult corners to take in any car, Gr2 cars especially, as you can lose the rear ever so easily, just a tap of the grass or just a slight bit too much acceleration. But now Belin a mere 7 tenths behind Alegna and closing. Belin could be mounting a challenge late on in this race. The two of them so close to one another, it's definitely getting a little bit closer than it was earlier. Could Alegna have worn his tyres a little bit more than Belin, but Belin losing it out at the Gr.2, not losing too much time thankfully, only about a tenth. Both of them running a little bit wide through that hairpin, as their tyres definitely looking to be much more worn now, as this is definitely getting very exciting. Belin a mere 6 tenths behind Alegna, trying to close up. After these final few corners, there will only be 2 laps remaining. Getting a little bit on the curbing there, out of Spoon, has lost him a little bit of momentum. Now 9 tenths behind and losing time down the straight. But this is definitely getting interesting coming down towards the final laps. Bellin desperate for that victory, as we've been following this fight pretty much all the way through this feature race, and it has been the fight to watch. A mere 8 tenths between them. Alegna definitely with slightly more worn tyres, or at least Bellin trying to get that victory, pushing as hard as he possibly can. He's hungry for that first win. He wants it so bad. And we'll have to see if he's able to get it. Coming through that first corner, the gap 9 tenths between them. We'll have to see what it's like at the end of the S's section. The Honda generally known to be a little bit better through the S's, as it's got much more front end grip, I believe, or is it rear end grip? It's one of them. But now 7 tenths between the two. As I said, the Honda generally able to catch up in the middle of the S's. Around 6 tenths as they come towards the Degnas. Bellin definitely closing up as Alegna's tyres were a little bit wide at Degna 1. And that costs him a bit of momentum out of Degna 2. As he even runs wide there. Back down to 1.1 seconds behind Alegna now is Bellin, as he's really trying to push to try and get in that slipstream of Alegna. The two ever so close as they come towards the final 2 laps. This is very exciting racing between the two of them, and we'll have to see if any of them makes any sort of mistake coming into these final few laps. Hopefully not. We want this to be as exciting as possible. We want that side-by-side action all the way through that final lap. But coming down the back straight now is Alegna and Bellin, coming towards 130R as they're waiting to go on to that final lap. Bellin trying to push like hell to get into that 8 tenths gap, which is generally around where the slipstream is. We can generally see he's able to catch up through the chicane, not quite able to do so just as much this time. But we know through the S's he's been very fast. That's 1.2 the gap right now. Bellin coming through that first corner. Alegna leading by 1.3 right now. A little bit squirmy on the exit of turn 1 is Bellin. But now coming through the S's, we know he's been quick through here. Could he get into that 8 tenths slipstream range? As that will be essential if he wants to mount any sort of challenge on this final lap. 1 second between the two of them. It's definitely getting closer. Bellin is definitely closing up. He needs to push through these Degnas and through the hairpin if he wants any sort of chance at catching up with Alegna. A little bit wide at Degna 2, and that has cost him a good 2 tenths there. As Alegna now back up to 1.1. Bellin trying to push as hard as he possibly can. Getting that hairpin pretty much perfect. But Alegna doing very similar. As it seems, we'll look ahead at Alegna right now. With that 1.1 second gap, it seems as though he's going to be able to hold off Bellin and claim this victory unless anything happens in Spoon, 130R or the final chicane. But he seems to be driving relatively smooth right now, and it looks as though we're going to see Alegna winning another race in the Gr.2 Championship. He's coming through 130R now, coming towards the final chicane, braking hard after the 150 metre board. Coming through that final chicane now is Alegna, around the final bend, and Alegna coming through, weaving his car around, flashing his lights to win the feature race. As in fact Bellin running out of fuel on the line. 3 seconds behind Alegna, coming home in second place. A brilliant fight between the two of them as he tried to push as hard as he physically could to catch up to Alegna. And if we look back, we see Vitminchi claiming that final podium position just as he did at the feature race in Interlagos. The Athenaeum looks to be coming home in 4th position, a brilliant job from him. As Apex Predator now in 5th position, around 7 seconds behind the Athenaeum. Not what he would have wanted, but a good race nonetheless. As we look back at Mr. Heppo and Fubuki. 2 quite close right now, but not quite able to keep up with the rest of the top 5. as Mistepo rounding that final bend to come home in 6th position. A decent race from him and a decent race from Fubuki. Very close between the two of them. But looking at your victor, it's ERT Alegna winning that feature race. Definitely well done to Alegna. And to all the racers here today, it's been a brilliant race overall. Very unfortunate for Apex Predator as he misfueled, obviously, in one of his pit stops. Unfortunate for Bellin running out of fuel on the line there. But brilliant job to ERT Alegna. Absolutely amazing, winning both races. Very close between the two of them. Between him and Bellin through both the sprint and the feature races. Absolutely amazing. And I believe that moves Alegna into the lead of the championship right now. Right ahead of Bellin in 2nd. Only a couple points separating the two of them, as Bellin's just had a little bit more consistency so far. And Raiden in 3rd place, I believe. Looking to rejoin the fight next round. In round 4. But a brilliant race between everyone today, especially between Alegna and Bellin. Some brilliant fun racing between all of them. And I'm very tired after witnessing that much action. The fight lasting nearly the entirety of the race. But I do have to say, if you guys have enjoyed what you've been watching today, then please hit the subscribe button. Smash that bell icon, the bell icon, you get what I mean. And hit that like button. It's been absolutely amazing commentating for you. And if you would like to join the league at any point, as I see a few people in the comments saying about that, then we will invite you to the Discord. We'll invite you to the ERT Discord, in fact, so you can discuss it there. So I'll just put the link in there. And that should let you talk to a few of us whilst we are doing stuff. Basically, yeah, that works. But brilliant racing from everyone. And thank you to everyone that's come to watch this. It's been amazing fun streaming for all of you. And yeah, next round will be round 4. I'm not 100% sure where it is, but unfortunately we will not be streaming that round. We will be streaming the round after that, round 5. But next week we will be streaming the Best of British race, in which I will be participating, ERT Thunderstorm, to try and earn a position, basically, against many world finalists. Yeah, very well done to all the drivers today. And thank you all for coming to watch. We'll see you next time. I've been ERT Thunderstorm. This has been the IGTL Gr.2 Season 1 Round 3. And thank you all very much for coming to watch. Goodbye.